Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Todd Bowen from sittingposture.com. Welcome to today's video, Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes. This is episode number 19. Let's take a look at our featured image here. This user here appears to, I know these are just models, but it's so ironic how the setup of the workstation is so similar to the injury that they're I don't know if they have it or if they're acting like they have it, whatever. But these photos are really, really good tools for me to use and help me explain what's going on here. So this guy's grabbing the right side of his neck, and it appears that he has to turn to the right to view his monitor. His monitor is not straight ahead. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but his monitor is definitely off to the right, so he's got to turn his head to the right, which is obviously causing a little bit of pain there. Another issue I would change if this was my workstation, I would bring this keyboard a lot. I do like the keyboard. It's a very low profile, slim keyboard. It's not one of those big, bulky plastic ones. I would bring that keyboard a lot closer to the edge of the desk, because what's happening is he's extending his arms forward with his upper back and maybe his external rotators of his shoulders. Anyway, a lot of unnecessary muscle activations going on in order for him to lean forward and put his hands on the keys when the keyboard is right there, as opposed to closer to his torso. And that's about all we can cover on that photo. I know it's a hard angle, but it is a couple really good things to note from that photo. Here's one I just want to mention. Not much to see here as far as the workstation goes, but she's working from a laptop, which definitely can cause some neck pain. I just wrote an article on my website last week called Cervical Spine Exercises, and it talks a lot about this. The cervical spine is the top 7 vertebrae, I believe, in the spine. So basically the neck, a little bit of the upper back. But anyway, her looking down at this monitor, she's got to look down at a 45-degree angle just to see the top of her monitor. So who knows what the angle is to see the very bottom, if there's a toolbar down there or something like that. So this could be corrected with an external monitor. External monitors, I got mine for like $150, but I got a big one, so they do run cheaper than that. I wanted one big enough so that it had I could work 2 windows at the same time. But anyway, mine was like $150. This is not paid promotion. I'm not promoting any company's monitor or anything. But anyway, working from a laptop with an external monitor is a huge way to decrease neck pain. And it just plugs in with one HDMI cable. You can get those are cheap off Amazon for like $20 or maybe even cheaper these days. But it just plugs in. You plug in the monitor to the HDMI cable, and you plug that cable into the laptop. No software to download or anything like that. We'll look at an example of an extended monitor here in a minute. So anyway, moving on, here's another example of, here's a better angle of a user looking down. She's looking down almost at a 45-degree angle to see the top, and she's looking down at more than a 45-degree angle to see the bottom. What I don't like here by this picture, I understand sometimes we need to write, sometimes we need to type. I don't like how she's got the keyboard way over past her notepad. If she has to type on that, going back to the first picture that we talked about, the featured picture of this episode, he was using all those external rotators in the back of his shoulder and even his upper back to activate a lot of unnecessary muscles. So if she has to type right here, maybe she's just watching a video on her computer, maybe that's cool, and she's just writing as she does that. That would be a good placement of that notepad if that's what's going on. But if she's typing at all, I would definitely move this notepad off to the side. And have the notepad and the computer right next to each other. I would definitely, if she doesn't have the ability to have an external keyboard, I would definitely pull this thing a lot closer. Looking at the next photo, big bulky laptop here. So what this is going to do is going to cause her to engage her wrists in order to lift her hands up to put her fingers on the keyboard and the mouse, the keys and the mouse. I understand sometimes technology, this is probably an old picture. This looks like a very old, outdated laptop. But I understand technology, it's very convenient to use a laptop. But if this is a 40-hour-a-week situation or workstation, she would definitely benefit greatly from an external keyboard that's flatter, slimmer, and more low profile. And also, obviously, an external monitor would do her a lot of good here, so she doesn't have to look down. I also don't like how she's turned at that desk. Sitting at a computer is a very symmetrical thing from the front angle and the back, from the from the back angle, we'll say. Even though there's a mouse involved on one side and not on the other, sitting at a computer should be a very symmetrical thing, in my opinion, because if you turn just a little bit, you're overusing muscles on one side, so those are going to get overused, and on the other side that same muscle is getting deactivated, so it's causing a lot of muscle confusion, and it's probably more than one muscle, to be honest, especially if she's turned as much as this. If you're just turned just slightly, just a little bit, maybe you got a couple muscles that are being overused and on the other side underused, but when she's turned like this is a tough situation to work in. I wouldn't want to work here for more than a few minutes. Here's another example of a big black bulky keyboard, bulky laptop with keyboard. External keyboard would benefit her a lot here. External monitor, obviously. This mouse is pretty tall too. This same thing goes for the mouse as that big bulky keys. If you have to engage your wrist in order to lift your hand onto the mouse or the keyboard, that's what caused carpal tunnel syndrome on me. Not necessarily typing, but engaging that wrist and leaving that thing engaged all day long. That's what caused the carpal tunnel. As soon as I switched over from a bulky mouse and a bulky keyboard over to a slimmer mouse and a slimmer keyboard lower to the desk, my carpal tunnel went away in a matter of a few days. It was pretty eye-opening. And obviously same thing here as the other photos we looked at. She's turned at an angle. I'm not a big fan of that. She needs to be more symmetrical and looking straight forward. And also obviously an external monitor would definitely help decrease the risk of disc degeneration in the spine. Okay, here's a good photo. So here's a great example of the slim keyboard that I'm talking about. Even though he's not in a great posture position, this is a great example of the slim keyboard. He's doing great there. He's got a slim mouse, a very low profile mouse, which I like a lot. Again, this is not paid promotion. I'm not promoting any manufacturer's products or devices. This is just stuff that I paid my own money for, and it's helped increase my quality of life and my posture in a big way. But anyway, I don't like this chair here, so it looks like a wooden chair. Not sure if it's got a cushion, but definitely not great back support from what you can tell here. I think he's probably tending to lean forward because he's got his monitor at a 45-degree angle. I'm not sure why that's necessary. I would put this thing more straight up and down. He does have the external monitor, which is great. I'm not sure if he's working from a laptop, but he does have the big monitor, which is awesome. I would definitely change the angle of this thing. I think that would allow him to sit back a little bit more naturally. And I would pull this keyboard a little bit closer to him, and I will definitely get a different chair and make sure that chair is raised so that these elbows are above the desk. See what happens when the elbows are below the desk level? We have to contract our bicep in order to lift our hands onto the desk, the keyboard, the mouse, and that bicep stays contracted 8 hours a day. It's not designed to do that. It's going to get overused and deactivated and tight, and the muscles are going to shorten. And what's going to happen, it's not going to hurt there, it's going to hurt up in the shoulder tendons that attach those biceps to the shoulder. So that's why a lot of people have shoulder pain from sitting at a desk. Nobody can really figure it out. In my case, it was overuse of the bicep. Because my elbows were too low at the desk. Once I raised my chair and my elbows were up more, my biceps relaxed, my triceps activated a little bit more, but that's okay. It wasn't anything crazy like this bicep is working here right now. Okay, let's take a look at this picture. I like this picture a lot. I talked about how from the rear view, sitting at a computer should be pretty symmetrical with the exception of that mouse being on one side. This is a great example on the left of the view of the pelvis and the lumbar spine, the bottom of the spine, straight up. This is what happens when we sit on a wallet or a phone in our back pocket. So that's definitely something to consider. Look at that curve there. That's terrible. And it doesn't stop there. It just keeps going and causing other issues and asymmetries in the rest of the body, overuse on one side, underuse on the other, and that just leads to a lot of muscle confusion. And here's one more photo here, or actually next to last photo. Here's a great look at the spine from behind. This is what it's supposed to look like. And if we're sitting on a wallet or a phone in our back pocket, the spine is just not going to look like this. It's going to curve to the side, and it's not going to be in a functional position. Okay, last photo here. I like this photo a lot because it gives a great example of my three most important variables when working at a computer workstation. Regardless if we're sitting or standing, these three variables always apply. Look on the left where she's sitting down. Her eye level is at the top of her monitor screen. Same thing over here on the right where she's standing. Her eye level is at the top of her monitor screen. Back to the left photo, her elbow is slightly above the desk, so she's able to keep her forearm parallel to the ground. She doesn't have to lift her hands to put them on to, she doesn't have to lift them up at an upward angle to put her hands on the keyboard or the mouse. Photo on the right, same thing. Elbow is slightly above the desk, even though she's standing. She doesn't have to engage that bicep in order to put that forearm at an upward angle to put her hands on the keys and the mouse. And finally, last but not least, feet are flat on a footrest here, and feet are flat on the floor over here. That's a huge thing when sitting at a computer. I had 3 ankle surgeries, and I think a huge motivating factor was the fact that I used to sit with my feet incorrectly at a computer for years. What I would do is I would contract my hamstring just from stress or whatever. Bad posture, chair being too low from stress, probably a number of factors. But what it would do is it would pull my feet underneath my body, and I would be resting my feet on my toes. So the front of my ankle was very tight and short and compressed. The back of my ankle was overextended and underused. So that caused a lot of muscle confusion all throughout my leg, even into my lower back, caused some pain and dysfunction there. But the main thing was knee tendonitis and ankle dysfunction. I had bone chips, bone spurs, and a lot of confusion going on in the ankle, which led me to sprain an ankle really bad, which was the motivating factor for my surgery. But I think a lot of it was caused by sitting at a computer desk with improper foot position. So 3 things to remember, quick recap: eye level, even with the monitor, top of the monitor, I should say, elbow slightly above the desk, and feet flat on the floor or a footrest. And that's it for today's video: computer posture, mistakes, and fixes. This has been episode 19. I really appreciate you guys for joining me and watching. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're taking a big step forward in improving the quality of your life, and that's definitely something to be proud of. Sign up for free email updates if you'd like. That's the best way to keep up with all my content. Sittingposture.com/newsletter. I only send out 1 email a week, and I send that out on Fridays. I don't spam, and I don't sell addresses. I just send out 1 email a week. Very simple and clean. And you can unsubscribe at any time by clicking a link at the bottom of that email. Basically, what I include in that email is 1 link to the article that I wrote for my website that week, as well as 2 links to the YouTube videos that I posted to my YouTube channel that week. And of course, if you want to see my YouTube videos in your feed more often, you can like this video. That would help me out a lot. And also subscribe to my channel. That I really appreciate it. The more people that see my videos, the more time, the more ability it gives me to create more videos. So I really appreciate you guys liking and sharing, subscribing, all that. But that's it. I really appreciate you guys. That's it for today's video: computer posture, mistakes, and fixes, episode 19. This is Todd Bowen from sittingposture.com. Take care. We'll see you guys on the next video.